Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Potted Plant Entertainment. My name is Chris, and in case you don't know, I review movies and I rank them on a scale of 0 to 100 in increments of 5. Today, we're going to be reviewing Robert Eggers' new movie, The Northman. This was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I was very excited for this. I liked The Witch. I haven't actually seen The Lighthouse yet. I'll get around to seeing it at some point. I like Willem Dafoe, and I would mostly watch it for him. But I was excited to see this. This was like very surprisingly talked about. It was just very hyped up. I wish that The Last Duel got the same hype that this movie did, because The Last Duel was just amazing. But The Northman is finally here. I saw it a day early at one of the early screenings, so you are getting this review sometime after midnight after I watched the film. And yeah, let's get started. So, The Northman stars Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Classis Bang, Ethan Hawke, Anna Taylor-Joy, and Willem Dafoe. It was directed by Robert Eggers and produced by Thomas Bensky, Sam Henson, Yariv Milcon, and Michael Schaefer. And this movie tells the story of a boy whose father is murdered by his uncle. And he grows up, becomes a man, and he goes out hell-bent on revenge to avenge his father. So Robert Eggers is known very much for his visuals. He's a very visual storyteller. And this movie does not disappoint when it comes to the visual. This is a beautiful film. The cinematography is getting nominated for... This movie doesn't get nominated for Best Cinematography. I'm going to strangle someone. Like, it's just... Why? It's like how No Way Home didn't get nominated for Best Picture. Like, how? So, this movie better get nominated for Best Cinematography because it's really awesome. The action is amazing. Oh, keep in mind, I am going to get into spoilers. Should have mentioned that before, my bad. I couldn't figure out a way to talk about this movie without spoiling it, so this is your warning. I am going to be talking about spoilers if you haven't seen The Northman yet. There you go. So, the action is amazing. It's just so good. It's all within camera. It's all bloody. It's super, super bloody, and I like it. I like how bloody this movie is. It's just, yes, give me more blood. I sound like a psychopath right now, but I like the blood. And it's very well choreographed. I love the ending of this movie when Alexander Skarsgård faces off against his uncle in the film, right at the edge of the volcano. It's so good. It is so awesome. The music is really good too. It's got a good bass with it that also sounds time period-y. I very much like it. And it works really well for the scenes. This movie has got to get nominated for Best Score as well. Because, again, if it doesn't, it'll drive me insane. The costuming is really good. The dialogue is really good. It's very time period-y. It's very accurate to the time period, but it's not so, like, overly convoluted to where you can't follow it. Like, have you ever watched, like, the Romeo and Juliet movie with Leonardo DiCaprio? I have too, and throughout the movie, I just have no idea what they're talking about at all. And this movie was actually partially inspired by Shakespeare, but the dialogue is right for the time period, but I can still follow what they're saying. Like, it's still, like, it's enough English to me that where I can understand them. I also like how Skarsgård becomes a hero. When he starts out as an adult and he pillages this village and, like, they're burning people in this building alive, and I just thought... I actually started to dislike the movie. I was like, how am I supposed to root for this guy? He's a terrible person, but by the end of the film, he does come into his own as a hero, which was nice to see. I like that character arc. I also like how his love for Anna Taylor-Joy, when they fall in love, how that makes him question his mission and whether or not it's worth it. Unfortunately, that only sums him very briefly in the film. It would have been nice if there was a little bit more of that, but nevertheless, I appreciate that it was there. The visuals are really, really good. This movie has like a lot of like premonitions, and one of my favorite ones is this woman like riding a horse, and she's got like braces or something on, this cool helmet, and she's like screaming, holding her sword as she rides her her horse up into the sky, into the moon. It's got quite a bit like that, and it all looks really beautiful. It's so cool. I was just sitting there thinking, this is just so freaking cool. The makeup is really good too. Everyone is dirty throughout this whole movie, which is the way it should be. I like how everyone is so dirty. Yes. Yes, it's accurate. Back then, people would not have been so clean and polished. Everyone is dirty all the time. And yes, thank you. Everyone's dirty and hairy, just like they were back in those days. Thank you. I was a little bit let down by this movie. It's not as good as I want it to be. I do have some cons, so let's get into it. And the first con I have with this, and this is my biggest gripe with this movie, is that this movie, for crying out loud, needs to be trimmed down. There is so much fluff in this film that just doesn't need to be there, and it slows it down. This movie is like 2 hours and 15 minutes with credits, and it feels way longer than that because there's just so much extra film in it we just don't need. I really want to see a version of this movie where it's just trimmed down to be so much neater, because this is just way too much unnecessary dialogue, way too much unnecessary scenes. There's a sports sequence in it that like doesn't impact the story at all. And the only reason I don't want to complain about it is because it was an action sequence, but that whole sequence could have been removed from the film and like almost nothing would change. The only thing that would change is that Alexander Skarsgård doesn't get to have sex with Anna Taylor-Joy. That's it. Who, by the way, he's 20 years older than her, so that's it. Whatever. Also, so he kills, Alexander Skarsgård kills his half brother, who because you know his mother ends up marrying his uncle, and they have 2 kids together. He murders the older one first. He murders them both, but he murders the older one first, and they beat him up, and they're like, "Where's his heart? Where is it?" And I'm thinking, because he cut his heart out and hid it, and I'm thinking, why do you care? What do you want it so bad for? It's just his heart. It's fine. Like, I don't know. Also, I hated when Nicole Kidman kissed Alexander Skarsgård. Like, dude, that's your son. What are you doing? This is gross. Like, I went to see this with my friend, and when that happened, I was like, ugh, and my friend just started laughing at me. It was so gross. Also, the kid at the beginning of the movie, like, he looks exactly like Alexander Skarsgård. He really looks a lot like, I totally buy in that Alexander Skarsgård is the adult version of this kid. But this kid, like, really overacts. Like, he's like, "Thank you, my father, my king." Dude, like, I mean, he's just a kid, so I don't want to be too hard, but, like, he like, really, like, played it up, and he just didn't need to. But overall, I did really like this movie. I think it's a really good film. I want this movie to succeed. I want it to make money. If you get the opportunity, please go see The Northman. It is a really good movie. Go support it. I'm going to give The Northman an 85. It is an epic film. It's just it needs to be trimmed up because it gets boring at times because there's just too much fluff in it. But other than that, there's really not much wrong with this. This is a very good film. Go see The Northman. Go support it. It deserves your money. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to Poly Player Entertainment for more. Hit the like button. Leave me reviews, suggestions, comments down below. Follow me on Instagram at Poly Player Entertainment for channel updates, and much love.